And so, beloved masters, we complete another year. Another new beginning will soon come. And so, to complete this year of knowing yourself, it is we take the step to the next year, and we will speak about the willingness to see with clear vision. And it is, beloved masters, I want that. I said I was going to do that. I really hope I can. I really would like to be that way. And on and on and on the list of excuses that the ego makes about why it cannot fully commit. And yet you, beloved masters, are the one who in the final end makes your choices. And you even get to decide, am I going to always accept the ego's counsel, or am I now willing to make the changes that will allow me to see with the inner eyes? And when we speak of the inner, the ego mind says you're isolating yourself, or you're looking down inside of your physical body. No, the inner vision is a direct connection to the divine. And when you look out into the world, a lot of people are myopic simply because they don't want to see what is going on out there. But it is when you look with the inner vision, you connect to the wisdom, to the clarity, to the willingness to see, really see, to see what's going on out in the world without the clouds of judgment, without the veil of fear. And you can feel in your solar plexus the power of that willingness to see clearly, to see, feel what is there. Because the mind will say, don't look, turn away. And that programming has been with humanity for so long that a vast majority does exactly that. Something happens, you don't want to be bothered, don't want to be disturbed, you don't want to know. And so you walk by or drive by and you turn your head so that you don't have to see what's happening. And then curiosity gets the better, and you've got to get a quick look just to see what might have happened. And then the ego says, and what you saw is all there is. What you saw is the real deal. But the willingness to see with clear vision is the willingness to accept that whatever you see, you have choices about how you are with it, how you are. Because it isn't really just what's happening, but it's how you, as a unique, one-of-a-kind individual, choose to respond to what's occurring in your life, in your world. Clear vision to see beyond the facades, to attune yourself, align yourself, so that you see with intuition. You see beyond the limits. You see yourself in others. And recognize it. Rather than seeing what others are doing, and when it's something really good, I wish I was like them. And when it's not so good, not so positive, did you see what they did? And then the accusations and the judgments and the what they should have, could have, would have done. If it had been you, you would have done it differently. So seeing with clear vision requires the willingness to love yourself. This is a point. To love yourself so well that you can see yourself in others. Not as something to accuse or judge. For lifetimes, the ego mind has called humanity to criticism, to judgment. It's been called very often looking for justice. But justice isn't about punishment. Justice, very much like karma, is about bringing balance to things. My Lady Portia is the goddess that was used as a model for the Statue of Liberty. Freedom. Freedom. Freedom is not getting to run away. Freedom is not an escape. Freedom is not irresponsibility. Freedom is that joyful experience that you have in the very depths of your being when you allow yourself to make wise choices. As we move from an old year into a new one, there will be a time of resolution. Resolution means I resolve to accomplish things that I have not allowed before. I resolve to continue things that support me, that give me a new lease on life. I resolve not only to create, but to be clear about what I am creating. And it isn't about having to think about every action, every word. It is about the willingness to let the higher consciousness, the God self, your divine beingness, allow that to help you see, feel with new clarity. A resolution, because the mind knows the right things to do, can be easily made. I want to do that. Now, when you say, I want to do that, you may not feel anything in your solar plexus, because want and actually need may give you more of a feeling, more than likely a feeling of victimization, but I need to do that may actually bring you more sense of something happening than the word want. Desire is much more powerful, but desire has a commitment, where want is distant. I want it. And you may feel the energy of the ego saying, and what makes you think you'll get what you want? So, beloved masters, to feel connected to the whole, to the all, to the one, empowered. And the willingness to see with a clear vision not only allows you to spot flaws much more readily, but it allows you to see more beauty. To see how love defines all of creation. To see with love, clear vision. To see yourself, feel yourself with love. To be able to see beyond the limits that have held humanity in a place where there are really so few who not only aspire to greater things, but are willing to move forward into them. And yet, whether you will allow yourself to move forward with your dreams, with your desires, with your passion, or whether you hold yourself back. Just because the world may not see you do something does not mean you're not capable. Oh yes. The ego has spent lifetimes telling you of how small you are, how worthless you are, not good enough. Why would God notice you because you're nothing? All those cruel things that the ego mind can say, especially if someone is insecure, and in order to make themselves feel secure, and this is an intellectual concept, they belittle others. And they say, that boosts me up. But it's more like a pedestal experience. And being on a pedestal is a very limited, actually very unstable place to be. But when you feel the confidence that comes to you as you are willing to see yourself clearly, to really know yourself, so that you're not living with a stranger in your own vehicle, your own body. I'll just look outside. I'll look at the world. I'll spend my time seeing what everyone else is doing and measuring myself against them, or criticizing what and how they are living. But it takes courage to look, to see clearly. Not because what you're going to find is terrible, because the truth of it is, beloved masters, Merry Christmas, who you really are, is a very great gift. And there are many who will say, that's not true. I don't believe you. And you don't have to. But it is true. You are a very great gift. But what of all my complications and my fears and the fact that I'm having to see a therapist and what if and what about and why? And that is all outer trappings. It's things that are superfluous because who you really are, as you connect with it, as you align with that within yourself, as you feel it as an essence, it's in your blood, it's in your bones, it's divine consciousness. And the willingness to see with clear vision is also an activator to hear honestly and truly. And when truth is told, it sets off a vibration in the solar plexus. Yes. Not that makes sense, but that feels true. And the logical mind can say, what is truth? Tell me what you're feeling. And very often, the only thing that anyone can say is, it feels good. It feels God within me. Some may say it feels right. And in that sense, right takes on a level of nobility that it has been divested of in the world. Because right is the versus of wrong. And there are people standing at both polarities swearing they're right. But spirit has not just a knowledge. The logical mind is all about knowledge. It's an information gatherer. But wisdom is deep. It abides in your roots. And roots are not just the lineage you came from. Roots are how you define yourself when you began to allow yourself to really feel all that you are. Back to the most ancient times, back to the beginning, when life on this planet was nothing but a struggle for survival. And therefore, even though every human had a soul, there was so much struggle, so much fear, that the idea of being divinely connected to the whole was too much for the mind of those humans that were here in the very beginning. And so there began to come more enlightened beings from other places who came to help the earth evolve. The first level of evolution. And a lot of these beings didn't have physical form, and they were more aligned with spirit than they were the survival in the physical world. Yet all the souls were created in the beginning, and the souls chose different paths of evolution. So here you are, as evolution is taking another revolution. And you're being called to allow yourself to see and to see. Very often is connected with feeling, even though the mind moves you past that brief point of recognition so quickly that the realization that when you say, I see, very often what really happens is, I feel. I identify with, I recognize. For a split second, for a brief moment, for an instant, I recognize who I am, my connection to the whole. Eons of evolution wrapped in a moment. The Celestine prophecies talk of the stages and phases of evolution as a whole, wholly integrated process. And as you are willing to allow yourself to surrender to that oneness, you may actually experience your own soul's evolution. You can't try to do it because it's not an intellectual process. It really is stepping beyond the finite mind and connecting to the scope of all that you are. Feel it? Feel it? The scope of all that you are throughout time. The mind has attempted to create a system of simplicity. Rules and regulations. This is what you do, you don't do that. That's simple, don't ask questions, do as you're told. And yet, everyone at some time will feel that tug, that inner connection. There's got to be something more. And dearly beloved masters, you are one with the more. There's always more. So, seeing clearly, being willing to look, not hard vision, I'll stare at it or I'll scrutinize it, but actually soft vision, which allows you to integrate, to fill yourself up with the energy of what you see. The soft vision takes away the sharp edges. It pulls the veils aside. But if I am allowing my physical eyes to unfocus, I'm not seeing clearly. When you allow your physical eyes to unfocus, it allows you to see through the inner eyes and to discover details that you never realized were there. Self-recognition. To see, feel the beauty of all that you are. The beauty of all that you are. And another teaching of the ego mind, the false humility. Oh, I'm not beautiful. You're just saying that. But as you are willing to see with clear vision, you see, feel your own beauty. And it isn't arrogant pomposity. It isn't coy. It's clear. It is aligned. It is truthful. It is honest. What's the difference? Truth is an irrefutable understanding that abides within, a gift from the divine. Honesty is the discipline to speak the truth you feel within you. And yes, there are ways to present truth where it isn't quite true. And there are ways to present falsehoods so they're not quite a lie. But honesty is being so connected to that inner knowing that if you are about to consider speaking an untruth, you began to feel the energy within you changing. Because if you are considering speaking an untruth to yourself or anyone else, it can make you feel very uncomfortable, because the choice, and it is a choice, to be honest or to yield to the darkness. No, we didn't say anything about evil, because there's darkness in everything. But your choices about whether you will take the ego's easy way out, I'll just avoid. I just won't talk about it. Or I've got to make up a story because I didn't have a story planned for this particular occasion. Masters do not always reveal everything that they know. And yes, the logical mind, being very versed in the laws of man, could say it's splitting hairs. But it's really not. It's about how you're using your energy. So the choices between being honest with self and honest with others, being faithful to yourself, being true to the divine. Those choices are powerful choices. And yes, a lot of times there is the quivering of the belly and the shaking of the limbs, and the mind fluttering like a bird in a cage, as that choice. Are you willing to be clear? Are you willing to see clearly? Are you willing to speak clearly? And the choice to be faithful, to be in integrity, to be honest, may seem in the moment the most difficult choice that was ever made. And yet the rewards for having the courage to make that choice are beyond measure. You couldn't even imagine how it unlocks closed places within you. Honesty is not cruel. So, I'm going to tell you the truth, and then it becomes a character assassination. It becomes another diatribe of how you have failed, what's wrong with you. That isn't honest. That is a mean-spirited ego dressed up in a fancy definition. Because honesty cares. Honesty is motivated in love. And to wound someone and call it the truth is not honest. It's cunning, it's calculating, it's cool, but it isn't honest. And the more that humanity is beginning to evolve from the inside, many of you have noticed as the year 2019 has moved that there have been internal changes. And I don't mean ill health that results from disturbed organs. I mean feeling differently about yourself, your life, how you present yourself, feeling better about yourself, clearer, stronger, loving yourself. And many of you are standing against what looks like a brick wall. And beyond that wall is the love you want. And the ego mind says, but that is a brick wall. It's impossible to have the love you desire when it's locked behind a brick wall. But if you're honest with yourself, rather than assuming that what you are seeing is real, you may go over to that brick wall and push on it, visualization, only to find that when you push on what appears to be a brick wall, it is flexible. It is a brown paper bag. It wasn't a brick wall at all. And when you hit it, it breaks open. And many of you are standing in front of what you believe is a brick wall, yearning, longing, crying, begging for love. And it's that readily accessible. You're that close to letting love in. And as you have, as you do, as you will, and there's always more love, the love heals. It changes your perspective. It changes how you are with you. And therefore, it changes how you are with everyone. And that certainly brings a measure of clear vision that you didn't have, that you didn't know existed. There's lots and lots of talk about the new earth. And the literal mind's idea is the new earth is a planet somewhere else. It is something that you have to get on a spaceship and go somewhere else. Now, right there is a point of limitation, of minimization, because as you remember who you really are, dearly beloved, amazing, divine, creative masters, you have capabilities, magics, that are beyond what the literal mind would even dare to dream of. So, in all honesty, if you really are willing to travel to Mars, you can focus on a photograph. You can feel into the energy of the planet by communing with it energetically, but it's so far away. But it is, beloved masters. The universe that you see out there exists within you. The comparable energy, the comparable capabilities, the achievements that can occur, you forgot. And so the mind has to calculate, plan, figure, make it as tedious and difficult as possible. When faith and trust are foundational energy of the magician, the divine magician, the divine alchemist, the divine co-creator with all there is. To see yourself with clear vision. The new world is only accessible through the within. As you access it through your divine connection, then, yes, it's very real. It's actually a lot more real than the planet you're walking around on right now. And there are those that will listen to this and say, all right, the Master Saint Germain has some good things to say, but now he's really stepping out. That's entirely too much. That is fantastic. Yes, you love a futuristic movie. You love the Black Panther magic beyond human capabilities. You love Spider-Man and Wonder Woman. You love Jesus Christ. How dare you speak the name of Jesus Christ with all of these action figures? Because all of them, dearly beloved masters, are demonstrating magic. the Master Jesus totally understood how the laws of the universe work with matter. And yes, it was presented to humanity as your sacred truth. And now human evolution is beginning to move to a place where human beings, beings of clay, are going to be, many of you are already integrating with your magic. Magic you've buried, magic you've hidden away, like love, magic you've put behind a brick wall. And the willingness to recognize that magic as an integral part of all that you are is clear vision. Seeing isn't just with your physical orbs. It's a feeling, a recognition of this is who and what I am. So it is, beloved masters, because this is a warrior planet, the Black Panther, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Superman, all of those heroic figures are showing the magic, but it's all about war. It's all about using the magic to win. And it is, dearly beloved masters, becoming who you already are. It isn't that you've never been a master. It's that you have been programmed to disbelieve it. But as you feel within yourself the truth of your own ability as a magician, there is also the discipline, the power and love, the realization that you are capable of creating things beyond what you have dared to imagine for so long. To heal. So many people on the planet are suffering dis-ease. Dis-ease, being uncomfortable with self. And lifetimes of being uncomfortable with self, lifetimes of doubting, lifetimes of fearing the darkness, and yet also fearing the light. And the ego says, you don't want to be controlled. And the truth is, masters are uncontrollable, not out of control, but uncontrollable. Because as you accept, I am a master. I am a master every day. I am a mundane master. My magic can make every facet of my life easier. Now, that doesn't mean that you rely on magic as though you had a robot in your home and you simply program the robot and it does the tasks you don't want to deal with. Magic is not another way of dividing you from your God self. But magic certainly helps you to remember how amazingly, wondrously diversified you are. The willingness to see clearly, I can create anything. And in the fear of that much power, the finite mind has set all the rules about what you can't do. You can't exceed those in positions of power. And yet, beloved masters, as you live yourself honestly and truly, in many instances you will exceed those in positions of power, not because you're attempting to usurp them, but simply as you are aligned clearly within yourself, you begin to live up to your potential. And right now on the earth, those in positions of power all over the planet are seeking power by the world's ways. But the fear, the doubt, the limitations, the wiles of the ego mind are causing a belief that they are incapable of really living up to their full potential. And many of the leaders are ruling their country. They are attempting to dominate in their interaction in the world. And they are calling on the darkness to feed their power. And the darkness is simply those choices to close the heart, to look away, to withhold from those who truly in the moment may require assistance. And yet, when someone is willing to assist those who require assistance, not do it for them, not give them a crutch, but assist them to begin to get in touch with their own unlimited potential. That person not only helps others, they assist themselves. Those who absolutely refuse to assist those who require help because they disdain those who require assistance. They call them weak. They call them incapable. There may be a lift of the eyebrow or a curl of the lip, a sneer about how inadequate they are. And yet, masters, all over the planet, no country is absolved, no matter how large or small. Those who disdain other human beings are coming from a wounded place within themselves, where they are terrified of their own feelings of loneliness, abandonment, inadequacy. There are those who are leaders who may lead quietly. They don't have to have fanfare and adulation. And the world very often scarcely notices them. And the ego mind believes that the more noise you make, the more you deserve the attention. And these are all distortions of illusion. The masses are lured by who's putting on the best show at the moment. Bred in circuses, who is the most capable in the world to distract us from ourselves? And yet all the distractions let them eat cake. And that will give them the illusion that they have a rich life. But it is, beloved masters, all of those facades are beginning to break apart. A steady diet of cake does not make for a healthy being. A steady diet of distraction can cause people to feel disempowered, disenchanted, discombobulated. But it is that willingness, that courage to see clearly, to look with clear vision. Spirit, show me clearly what I require to see, to understand, to recognize now. And when you ask that, be willing to see. Because if you ask to see, Spirit will show you. And it isn't about the worst possible outcomes. A lot of times, Spirit will show you what you are capable of creating that you've been looking away. You've been avoiding it. And interestingly enough, the ego doesn't want to see how much better you can be any more than it really wants to see how bad you are. And that is a world perspective. Because we look at humanity, we look at life, we walk among you, we feel you, we listen to you Can you see me? Yes, I see you. I see you. And what I see is the beauty. What I see is how close you are to embracing your mastery. What I see is the pain that you have suffered because you accepted the lies of illusion. What I see is an indomitable spirit that the mind has convicted humanity. I don't have what it takes to be a master. And in many ways, beloved masters, even though that may feel like a victimized statement, it's highly arrogant. I don't have what it takes. God created you. But I don't have what it takes. But God gifted you. But that was so long ago I don't remember. The gifts were given forever and always. They have not deteriorated, they have not vanished. They are waiting just beyond that brick wall that's really a brown paper bag. And the ego operates on confusion. If it's too hard, it should be easier. But if it's easy, you didn't work hard enough. You didn't pay the price. You didn't sacrifice. And the finite mind goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Have I done it enough to earn what I want? Did I work hard enough? Beloved masters, in these times, in many instances, you work so hard that you work yourself to a place where you won't allow the good that's yours to be yours. You get so addicted to hard work. And there's always some perception, some concept, some ideology, some belief system that will support your limits. And yet all of the magic, all of the love, all of the goodness is yours right now. Right now. But I'm not there yet. There is no there. It isn't about pursuing something you don't have. It's about integrating with yourself and acknowledging, accepting, embracing all that's yours. So, dearly beloved masters, that willingness, I will to will thy will, Father, Mother, God, and the ego cringes. Spirit just wants to control you. There are many people who actually believe that God wants to take over their life. They want the love, they want the good, they want the feeling of oneness, but they don't want to lose their freedom. God created you free. God has absolutely no desire to control your life. That's simply a ploy that the ego mind uses to draw a red herring across the trail, to lead you to believe it's spirit that will enable you, will assist you, will lift you up over. But spirit is the enemy. Spirit is what's going to control you. Spirit takes your fun away. So, there are thousands of people all around the world who die every day for their fun. And when you are willing to allow yourself to see, feel with clear vision, you will begin to realize that the joy of living an integrated life brings you immense pleasure that the distractions of the world simply cannot satisfy. So it is, beloved masters, the healing is the willingness to see yourself real, feel yourself true, love yourself for all that you find there, and in the power of that love, you can change. Love doesn't say, there, now, you don't have to change. Love says, take my hand. I'll walk with you as we discover the magnificence of change. But love still makes me change. And I don't want to change. Love won't force you. From the Lord God of your being, each and every individual on this planet has that deep inner wisdom that change is about growth. And growth doesn't happen without change. So that deep inner wisdom knows that even if I fight change, I will change. But there can be the dedicated resistance to accepting the good that change can bring. Clinging to old perspectives and old affirmations of how change takes my good away. No, it doesn't. What it does is assist you to make a space so that there can be more. And the ego mind ducks its head and kicks the dirt and says, "Oh yes, it does wonderful things for me. Look at my life." Yes, let us look at your life through the clear vision of inner knowing. Let's look at the life. Look at it without filters of darkness or fear or deception or doubt. This pristine life. And the reason that humanity believes that life is ugly or dirty or terrible is because there has been an underlying teaching that life is hard, that things don't get better until you die. And, dearly beloved masters, that's one of the most prominent points in this time, of where the more you know yourself within, the more illogical logic is. The promise of all the good things that life has to offer, but you can't have them as long as you are in physical form. So you just endure having to get through the life, and then once you don't have physical form anymore, and all those things that you really wanted to experience when you were in a physical form are no longer really available. But that's what makes the evolutionary process of opening to the deep inner wisdom, the inner recognition, the remembrance I am that I am, that as a spiritual human, you can have a wonderful life, a beautiful life. Not without challenge, because humanity requires to have challenge to motivate them. It doesn't have to be a fight, it doesn't have to be a war, it really doesn't have to be a quarrel even. But people are truly inspired and motivated by something that is put before them, and someone says, "I bet you can't do this." And that has inspired artists and scientists, those that work with agriculture and those that work with architecture. It has inspired the heights of love and gifts of immeasurable compassion, And in many ways, the love and the magic are the tools of creation. But when you add in the third element, the desire to create, and every human being on this planet is a creative master. There are those that are dedicated to using their energy to create chaos. There are those who, for whatever reason of karmic balance, have come into the world in bodies that don't function in what the world might call a normal way. And yet, they have overcome the obstacles because they were willing to see themselves beyond the limits. I don't have arms. I can drive a car. I can participate in sports. Yes, I can. A brilliant mind in a body so incapacitated that it was totally confined to a wheelchair. And the communication came literally from the vibration of thought, a mind so phenomenal that it could create a way to communicate with the outside world when speech was impossible. All things are possible with God. Are you willing to allow yourself to see that clearly, to feel it, spark life within you, to let the love be yours to comfort you, not to coddle, but to comfort, to support, to reassure, to sustain, to accompany, to inform, to encourage. Dearly beloved, amazing, divine, creative masters, I just can't. And there are many people on the planet that have made I can't their primary affirmation. To recognize what you can't change. The Serenity prayer. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And in that, it isn't a resignation, I'm stuck with this. In that serenity, I cannot change it, so I will let it go and devote my creative potential to the courage to create the things I can, to change those things that are within my power. And when you let go of trying and trying and trying and trying to change the things that aren't yours to change, it's almost as though that pulls away veils, that clears the vision. And suddenly, what I can't change becomes a recognition, a relief that all that power I was giving to attempting to force things to change that aren't mine to change, all that power is still mine. If I allow myself the serenity to accept, it also clarifies, clear vision, where I can flow my power to accomplish amazing things. And when I have the courage to change the things I can, amazing. A lot of times that in and of itself will remove that brick wall, and suddenly what I could not change becomes a new potential for accomplishment. I couldn't change it the way I was coming to it. I couldn't change it from the perspective I held. I couldn't change it because I thought I had to do it all by myself. I couldn't change it because I was trying to make other people different instead of changing myself, my life. I was trying to make them change. And that has become a dedication, a devotion of the ego mind. Rather than, how may I serve you? This is what I've decided you need, so this is what I'm going to give you. And it is, beloved masters, gifts are wonderful, but when it is something that is foisted on you through the beliefs that someone else has that you aren't capable, aren't competent, aren't creative enough to live your own life well, and they have to do it for you. And it is a denial of mastery. Whether you say, I can't, or whether someone else says, you can't, it is that deep inner knowledge and not attempting to suppress it or deny it, but to allow that deep inner wisdom that blends with the knowledge and empowers you. Yes, You've been looking there. But it's time to take the blinders off and realize there's a 360-degree perspective for the opportunities that you desire to bring into your life. Healing yourself is not a mental challenge. Healing yourself is an internal blending. You blend with the divine. You blend with your inner wisdom. You blend with all of the tools and elements that you have to know yourself. And there are so many amazing tools. The elements, the elementals, the virtues. There are spiritual texts in abundance. But spirit isn't done. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Spirit is allowed, speaking of freedom. Spirit is the 5th element that blends all the other elements together. There are 4 primary elements: air, fire, earth, water, and spirit blends. But there is the mineral kingdom, and there is the metal, and there is the wood. And there are other elemental aspects that are simply not considered that much because they're a part of a natural world that accepts the magic. The natural world operates in ways that are very often miraculous. The natural world is consistent in its changes. In other words, the one true constant in the natural world is change. And having the clear vision to recognize the changes you're making. Because the changes are coming. They're coming powerfully. They're coming consistently. They're coming to you. But the ego mind may have a focus on something it wants changed. And it wants that thing, that aspect, that part of the life changed. And this is the way the change has got to happen. I've got it all figured out. I have a plan. Nothing happens. Or all these other areas of your life that you really were not in the least interested in things changing there. And there's change happening in all these places that don't have anything to do with where I wanted change to happen. And yet, when you allow yourself to see with clear vision, you begin to realize that by the passion, by the desire, even by the resistance to let anything else change but this one segment of your life, you have activated and motivated change in many places in your life because you were so focused on that one part of your life that Spirit couldn't get there to help you. It was like a brick wall. But Spirit doesn't say, I can't do it. Spirit says, there are many ways to bring about change. So things start to change in other areas of your life, and that begins to release pressure, maybe even draw your attention away from what you were so intently focused on. Not only that it must change, but this is how. And as you are distracted, as your attention is called to other places in your life, now that main point, that primary focus, can begin to soften and become more malleable energetically. And with the assistance of Spirit, there is change. And when Spirit assists in the changes, it's amazing because we have an overview that you do not. We see life from a perspective that the scientist, the logical, practical mind, very often simply won't see because this is how the law works. And you don't color outside the lines. So, dearly beloved masters, it is so interesting that in attempting to force change to happen, you can actually bring change about. It may take a lot longer to get what you desire when Spirit has to circumvent your focus and your desperation and your need, or perhaps even just your stubbornness. This is how it can change. This is the only way it can change. If it changes any other way, I will not accept that the change happened. So, a lot of times, in order for the change that you desire to happen, there are things that you are so entangled with that you can't release them. You can't let that part of your life go to flow. And so they are removed. And the logical mind says, see, change just brings loss. If something is yours and you let it go, it will return to you. If it isn't yours, then something better will come to fill the space. Divine law is amazingly joyful. It's amazingly delightful. It's amazingly freeing. But the finite mind wants to go out into the future and find what I want and drag it back, because I know if I can't see it in my life, I don't have it. But then divine mind says, but right here, right now, if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. So, beloved masters, right here, right now, is the only place you can create. It's the only place you can change. It's the only place that you can invite the manifestation. And it's all about blending and flow. Change is about movement. It isn't about stasis. So when we say now is the only place that the good can happen, it is not exactly this precise moment, but where you are in the moment the change occurs. I want proof that what I'm going to do is working. Timing is everything. If it isn't time, there's not going to be proof, because actually what you're looking to manifest hasn't manifested yet. Well, I want proof it's going to. Creation doesn't function like that. You have faith, that's an inner knowing, that will assure you that what you desire is being created. And when you're creating something marvelous for your life, it's like a work of art. You don't want something that's thrown together. You don't want something that has no consideration. You don't want something that has no craftsmanship. Anything from the finest, most sensitive, most computerized racing car to the gifts of life that you would love to have. Little things. So the mind may say, God, why can't I have this? It isn't much. I'm not asking for much. You're a master. Why aren't you asking for a life in all of its factors, all of its amazing facets, a life befitting a master? And pay attention. because that life will come. If you're not paying attention, you may not notice it, and you may say, I never get what I want. I ask for a life befitting a master, and look at what I have. But when you're willing to look with clear vision, you see things that are right there with you that you cannot possibly see if you're looking through the filters of limitations. So, dearly beloved masters, these are powerful times. Humanity is being invited home. Not, we'll go to God, we'll just all die, but I'll come home to myself. And God waits to welcome me, because God created all that I am. God created all that I will be. And it's been a team effort, because as you look back over lifetimes, many people are beginning to remember bits and pieces of other lifetimes. God helped you create that also. I don't like what I find. Then right now, in this moment, consider, are you even still living your life that way? Do you still have the same cravings, needs, motivations that you had in the past of this life, or in the bits and pieces of other lives you remember? Because when you can let go of the fear of what you'll find, then Spirit is willing to reveal to you any facet, any story in any of your lives. But it does require that you're willing to see clearly, not just glimpse. Take a glance and swear, I got it, I got it, I got it. But did you? Because realizing wisdom and understanding take time. Not forever, not thousands of years, but time in the cycles of the natural world for things to develop, for you to grow, for you to open up and allow the illumination of Spirit to show you your greatest potentials. So, dearly beloved masters, revelation is something you can't change, but it is definitely something that it will change you. You can assist by being open to allowing that energy to transform you. To help you feel how it feels to see clearly. And so, beloved masters, soon you will step through the gate. You will cross the bridge into a new year. This time, it is a whole new grouping. It is the beginning of a new 10-year cycle. It is a beginning of your life moving into whole different ways of functioning than the world has known before. There will be more clearing of the old ways. We have spoken that the illusion literally is falling off behind you. As you move forward, what was is breaking up, because that illusion is no longer viable for where you and all other masters are going now. So allow the illumination of revelation's light to help you see clearly within yourself all that you are. Be amazed, be astounded, be impressed. Forgive being disappointed or disillusioned or depressed, and allow the good. Allow it. Why wouldn't I, the ego says. And we would say to the ego, because you're terrified of the good. So blessings, expansion, new vision, clarity. And in it all, faith, truth, and love, which provide the portal to remember your magic. And so, beloved masters, until we meet again in whatever manner that may be, in the greatest of love, I bid you adieu.